Now, and unfortunately, it's still America, right? And the deep part about how America, and this is kind of how America does an experience of Black America, is like at the same time as this historic run by Kamala Harris, by a Black woman, the possibility of a Black woman being the first president in United States history, we also saw a video come out of a Black woman being just absolutely slain unjustly by a police officer in Illinois. This is Sonia Massey. They've been telling us, they were telling us like, hey, prepare. This video is going to be riots. It's going to be, they knew because of what this police officer did. Basically, she's unarmed. She had a pot of water, and so we do want to acknowledge that, obviously, I don't want to see the video personally because that is excessive, but we definitely want to see justice for Sonia Massey. You shared this with us, and this is something that Solange posted. It says Sonia Massey's first words when the police came up to her door was, "Don't hurt me."
Yeah.
She was told, why would we hurt you? You called us.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what you do, isn't it?
Right. Minutes later, because she had a pot of water that you asked her to get off the stove, now she's shot. This was an officer who had been in 6 different departments in 4 years. And so he was arrested. We hope that, she gets justice. Did any of you all want to comment on Sonia Massey and what we see happening in regards to her unjust murder?
This isn't that far removed from Breonna Taylor, and we talked about this like how many times. I mean, it happened in Pittsburgh where a Black person has phoned the police to stop a burglary in progress, and the police showed up and killed the Black person for making the call.
Yes,
this is something that's all too often in America, and our experiences with law enforcement, often than not, tend to be lethal. Whether we're the people who are victimized by law enforcement, whether we're the people who are prosecuted and persecuted by law enforcement, it always tends to end up in the same way. And the statistic of 4 Black people being murdered every day by law enforcement only increases. And this is proof evident of the distrust of it in the Black community. It's so bad that even Joe Biden in his limited capacity issued a statement against this officer and the treatment of Black women specifically at the hands of law enforcement. So and then now with Kamala coming into the role as the Democratic nominee as president, this gives us a little bit more gravity. Right.
And she also spoke on it and said Sonia Massey deserves to be safe. Those were the comments. I don't know if we'll hear any comments from Trump or Vance or any of them. This deputy, Sean Grayson, also, I think it's important to note that not only did he shoot her 3 times after he said he was going to shoot her, but also did not administer any first aid and tried to prevent his partner from administering first aid.
God damn.
And the partner ended up doing it as well. Then they said that I guess he got on the radio and said that her wound was self-inflicted. So they tried to lie and say, and that was what Sonia Massey's family said, that the police actually told her or them initially that she killed herself.
Did she even have a gun in the house?
No.
So how was she going to shoot herself?
I don't think so. I don't know if she had a gun in the house. She didn't have a gun on her
person. Yeah.
Right. So she calls 911. They're in her house. They're talking to her. And this is something that we have been talking about, that when police show up for a reason and that reason has been closed out, they need to leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's her house.
Yeah.
She's there. There's no intruder.
Yes.
You give her your card. You say, have a good day. If you see something else, we'll come
why
back.
are you even in our house?
Why was
she thought there was an intruder? Now, she also had mental health issues, right? And we have to remember that over a third of people killed by the police, not only are they usually people of color, they're people who have mental health issues, people who are disabled.
Yeah.
Right. So knowing that, once the conversation is done, you will leave.
Yeah.
But instead, they're talking to her. They're asking for her ID. She's kind of a little discombobulated, but still lucid.
Yes.
If that makes sense, right?
Yes.
They tell her to turn off the water or do something with the water because it's boiling on the stove. She walks over messes with the water, is walking to the sink with the thing. She's not coming at them aggressively.
No, absolutely
She's
not.
slowly moving. And even if she were to lunge the water at them, they're on the other side of the counter where they could literally just jump back. Right. So the argument that this water was a threat to them and their safety is
crazy.
not even true.
Absolutely
because
crazy.
not only do they shoot her, they come closer to her after they shoot her to make sure she's down.
Right.
And the guy said it's a headshot.
Yes.
That's part of the conversation is he's telling the people, his partner, don't get the medical thing. She's gone. It's a headshot. Like, why would you head shoot her for a pot of water?
Yeah, you're supposed to shoot
Even
center mass.
if you thought it was going to be a 3rd-degree burn, you would just taken 2 steps back.
Yes.
Like, so it was a shoot to kill situation. Then it's being like, okay, well, she's going to be gone, so don't even worry about doing a kit. And then had to be like, look at the water. The water could have gotten to us. The water's all the way over here. And it's like, yeah, the water's over there because she dropped it with sudden force on the ground and it spilled on the ground.
Right.
It made absolutely, the video doesn't even make sense.
No.
And even him talking to her, it doesn't make sense the way he escalates the situation.
Absolutely.
And so it is the fact that she should be here.
Yes.
It is the fact that so much of the Biden administration was like, cops need more guns. I mean, more money, more funding, more funding. This training is not working. We
No.
need to train policing.
No.
Policing doesn't need more money and more funding. We need more mental health support, more social workers, more Medicare for all, and a different way to engage people living with disabilities, people living with mental health issues that don't include state violence.
Right.
But Sonia should still be here. Her family should not have been lied to.
Yes.
And this man who apparently had multiple DUIs
Yeah.
and other things on his jacket should not have even been a police officer in the first
No.
place. And this is something that we are really going to have to reckon with as a society. How much of violence are we willing to put up with, and how much of violence are we willing to support? Because Sonia should be here. Every person who's been murdered by police, whether it's here in Allegheny County or in Illinois or wherever, should still be here. And we should have a different procedure and process when engaging not only people who are calling the police for help, but people who are being arrested or people who are threatened or suspected of threatening or harming other people or themselves. We need a different procedure, a different process, and hopefully we can finally breathe and just create and imagine a different and better world.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. Like you said, it was the officer, Sean Grayson, who killed her, who said, pointed out the pot on the stove and said, we don't need a fire while we're here, leading her to do this. Again, like, bro, you can leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so this whole, you really shouldn't be here in the first place. Trouble, did you have any comments?
Yeah, first I want to say, may she rest in peace, Sonia Massey. Secondly, I hope that this helps people to understand why we say defund the police.
Yes.
And why we're going to continue to say defund the police, because we can't even call them for help.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, imagine living in a country where even if you're the one who called 911, the odds of you dying are fairly high.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You can get criminalized for needing help from the same people we've been calling to defund for years now.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I just hope that this puts things into perspective. Like, we are not safe when it comes to police presence, whether we're the caller, whether we're the person the police are being called on. You know what I'm saying? And even if we just have random run-ins with the cops, or even if it's just a simple traffic stop.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? No matter what the instance is, when we come in contact with police, we are not safe, and that is why we call to defund them.
And it's really that piece of like, now, it was like a list of like things black people can't do, right? Can't run, can't, it's like, we have this, your shoe, right? The concrete. Now it's like
Can't even boil water.
A pot of water. So
Yeah.
now literally, like, you see a pot of water in the hands of this, a small woman, as like, that's a threat to your life. So much so that you're shooting somebody in the face over a pot of water. I mean, again, like, obviously there's an issue. If you've been in 6 different departments in 4 years, there's an issue. You know what I'm saying? That's another piece around
Absolutely.
like, who are you hiring? What is the process? Now, you know, hopefully, you know, the officer has pleaded not guilty, but the officer was arrested and indicted. And again, like, the officer also lied and said, like, why would you try to say the wound was self-inflicted?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you
A
knew.
self-inflicted head wounded that,
Right.
like,
You
the
knew.
ballistics is not going to point to that.
Right. But I mean, it's like, why do you say that? Because you know that you were in the wrong. You know, that's why you say that, because you know you're in the wrong. So with that being said, I mean, again, we stand with the family of Sonia Massey. We hope that she gets justice. It's a shame that, you know, it's like we're subjected to another video again. So it's like, it's like the best of times and worst of times. You know what I'm saying? Like, what we have a black woman, you know, aspiring to an historic office, while at the same time we have a black woman shot down for absolutely no reason by the police. And it's like, this is the America that we unfortunately live in. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reality that we face as black people, and why we do the work that we do at One Hood, where we do the civic engagement work, and we also do the justice work for our community, in terms of doing the work of reimagining public safety and what it could be to make it safe for all of us, which is also some of the work we do here at One Hood.